Hey friend, I'm Micah McCurry, and you are in the huddle. We're joined in the huddle by Pastor Joe Grimaldi today. He has been the head coach of Burgundy Varsity for many years, and we're excited about the opportunity to kind of pick your brain a little bit. We're talking about preparation. There are many things you do well, Pastor, but having worked for you, preparation is certainly very near the top of the list. But having been a pastor for how many years now?
43.
43 years. And you've also been a parent for many years now as well.
About 43.
Yeah, and you've sent boys to football camp, all those types of things. So you have a unique perspective that you could probably share with pastors and parents as they prepare for football camp, but also prepare to bring and send boys to football camp. What would you say to parents and pastors about preparation?
Yeah, I think one of the first things is to try to get boys to go. Boys are apprehensive for a lot of different reasons. Maybe they're not very good at football. Maybe it's just a crowd they're not sure they're going to be around, and there's all of that thing. It's teenagers mostly we're talking about that are struggling with all these things. So you have to sort of calm their fears and help them understand how important this is for them to go. So I think first it's about getting boys to go and talking up football camp and what you're doing. If you really believe in the program and you want them to go. And by the way, life-changing. There's nothing like it that I've ever been involved in. I preach a lot of camps, a lot of places. Nothing has the results football camp. So as a parent or pastor, it's first getting my young men that are going to go, comfortable with going. And then starting to talk to them about what they need to do, physically and all those things, which we'll talk about at another time. But then as a parent or as a pastor, start praying for those boys. I mean, this is where boys get saved. There's stories about people like Mickey Hall who got saved at football camp, called to preach at football camp, and is now a pastor, and on the stories go. So, man, you start praying for those boys. Not just generally, pray for all the boys to go to football camp. No, pray for Micah McCurry and what needs to happen in his life. And if you're a parent and you want your child to be in the ministry, it's not wrong to pray. Please, Lord, call my boy to serve you. Whatever it happens to be. Pastors, this boy's struggling with different sins or situations of life. You start praying for him, and dropping little seeds as well. Sometimes we prepare so far in advance that we prepare and then we stop. And as we get closer, we realize, we haven't said anything about that for months. So you start preparing early, but then you keep it up. It's like exercise. Right. You can't do all this exercise in one day and then for 6 months not do anything. Right. You keep it up, methodically, whether it's from the pulpit making mention of it, whether it's in the home at devotion times or this and that, constantly, talking about it and putting it into the forefront so that they're as prepared as possible, for what's going to come up. And by the way, let me also say that you got to prepare yourself to allow football camp to be what it is. Mm-hmm. Don't try to micromanage it to where you're so worried that your child's going to get hurt or the guys are going to get hurt. You're worried that people are going to preach too hard at them and blow them out of the water. Just let it alone. God's in control of all that. Right. And they're not as fragile as you think they are. Right. We are making a fragile society because parents and pastors are trying to protect these kids from the men of God. Right. Just leave it alone. It's going to work out. Right. Have confidence that God can take care of it.
Absolutely. And can I talk to pastors, youth pastors, for just a moment? I learned a long time ago how to play the long game. When I'm talking about, you just talk about preparing your boys and how you kind of sometimes have to prepare them a little bit and coax them to it. Pastors, you might have to do that with parents sometimes. And if you're listening right now and say, I could never send my boy, what this is I'm beginning to play the long game. Because I might not get your boy there this year, but I'm going to keep leaning on you. I'm going to keep talking about it. I'm going to keep telling you the great stories and testimonies of what God has done. And so be prepared. Just if you talk about it all year long, just that continual little tap, jostle their elbow. They might not come this year, but then all the boys come back talking about how great it was, and boys come back spiritually changed. Next year, they're going to be thinking, you know what, maybe I'm not so worried about sending my boy to football camp. Join us tomorrow. We're going to continue talking about preparation for football camp. Thanks for listening.
Thank you for listening to The Huddle. You can find more information and register for Man Camp online at mancamp1994.org. Man Camp is a ministry of the First Baptist Church in Dwight, Illinois. Join us next time in The Huddle.